Welcome to week number 5. So this week we're talking about the second structural element that is necessary for a healthy self-esteem, and that is having a healthy relationship with your emotions. So if you think about it, what are the experiences growing up as you developed? What were the experiences that taught you or gave you messages about your emotions? So I grew up in a small town of about 20,000 people. It was a farming community in Wisconsin. We were, for most of my time growing up, we were the only LDS family in this community. And so in high school, I was the only LDS kid, which made me a little bit different. I was also taller than all of the girls and most of the guys, which made me a little bit different. And I wasn't interested in the activities of cruising Main Street and drinking. And so I really stood out, felt like an odd duck, and was seen by others as an odd duck. So it's not surprising to me that I was struggling. I wasn't happy. I was experiencing some depression. And at one point, I went to my mom and I said something about, I'd like to see a therapist. I want to talk to somebody. I'm having a hard time. And her response to me was, smile and fool them all. Now, this isn't about blaming my mom. This isn't about being upset with my mom. My mom, based on how she grew up, it's not surprising I got this response. My mom, based on what she was dealing with in her life, it's not surprising I got this response. I can see that and have that perspective now. At the time, it was painful. And I took in some very powerful messages about my emotions. I needed to hide them. I shouldn't be talking about them. I shouldn't be sharing that I'm struggling or having a hard time. I need to present myself as everything is great. And that takes a toll. When we don't trust our emotions, don't want to feel connected, don't feel like we can share our emotions, it takes a toll. And until I began to realize and shift the relationship I had with my emotions, there were some significant challenges. All right. So when we talk about any healthy relationship, characteristics of any healthy relationship include you're spending time together. You're listening to what the other person has to say. You are genuinely interested in what they're sharing with you. You ask them questions. You want to learn about them. You want to know them. And you have boundaries. Again, boundaries are what create safety in our relationships. So these are all things that are true when we talk about having a healthy relationship. The same thing is true when we're talking about your relationship with your emotions. So consider for a second, how much time do you spend hanging out with your emotions? How much time do you spend listening to what your emotions have to tell you? How much time do you spend asking your emotions questions like, why are you showing up? What is it you want me to be aware of? Or what boundaries do you have with your emotions? So these are all pieces that we're going to talk about in creating a healthy relationship with your emotions. First piece is we're going to talk about this emotional processing continuum. This is, I think, a great visual to help you see the different kinds of interactions and relationships we can have with our emotions. So if you focus on just the center piece first, that is where you're experiencing healthy emotional processing. And we're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. So healthy emotional processing is in the middle of this continuum. If we go towards, it's going to be backwards. So let's talk about avoiding instead of telling you which direction to look on the continuum. So one possible relationship you have with your emotions is you are avoiding your emotions. You ignore them, you numb, you distract, but you are avoiding connecting with and experiencing your emotions. And further down that side of the continuum is numbing. So when there's been an ongoing pattern of avoiding, it can then lead to numbing. Or maybe the emotions feel so intense, so heavy, so painful, your way of dealing with it is to numb. So you might have a numbing, you might lack a connection, feel numb to your emotions. The major problem with this is when we numb, we don't get to hand pick which emotions we're no longer going to experience. When we start numbing our emotions, it impacts all of our emotions. So it can be seriously problematic. Okay, if we step over to the other side of the continuum, so going from healthy processing to ruminating, here we're getting stuck in our emotions. We just feel like we're spinning and spinning and churning, and we can't seem to let go of or move through our emotions, and we get stuck there. Do you have a ruminating relationship with your emotions? And then on the other end of the continuum is reactivity. Do you have a reactive relationship with your emotions? They get big and they get loud and there's an explosion. So the emotions are in control. So it's likely you experience all of these at different times. It's also possible that maybe you're avoiding and avoiding and avoiding, and then you jump to an emotional explosion. So you've gone from avoiding to becoming reactive with your emotions. So I like this visual. Consider what are your patterns? Start to become aware of where do you spend the most time on this continuum. Okay, so your first exercise for this week, you'll find this in your worksheets. There are 2 worksheets for this portion, this first lesson. So this is all about increasing your awareness about where your relationship with your emotions currently is. So how connected are you to your emotions? What reaction do you have to your emotions? What do you do? What do you say to yourself when you notice an emotional experience, especially the uncomfortable ones? And as I asked just a second ago, where do you spend the most time on the emotional processing continuum? This isn't about being critical or judgmental. This is about being curious, learning, so you have the opportunity to do something different. So print out those or look up those worksheet pages and work through those.